So I need to apologize to a few of you guys. Back in, I think it was November, I did a video where I said that I was going to put 2 different ceramics from Ethos on a test panel and that we were going to do a torture test. And in that video, I said, stay tuned because we're going to be able to do a torture test as soon as these are cured. And then winter happened. This was one of the worst winters that I can recall here in Lancaster. And I think since about end of November when I did this torture test to about this week, we have been below freezing every single day. We've had so much snow, so much bitter cold. Today is finally blue skies. I mean, it is such a great day, guys. And we're going to do our torture test for you guys. Now, I know it's like 4 months past they're cured. So there should be no issue with the ceramic coatings, good and cured. But we actually did throw in one additional ceramic from Ethos, their Ethos Max coating. So we're going to almost be able to do a 3-way competition between Ethos Graphene V2, Ethos Pro V2, and their Ethos Max ceramic coating. For those of you that want to know of these ceramics, which is going to last the longest, which is the one that you should go with, we're going to share with you guys the application. But now I want to know, and you guys as well, which of these coatings is going to last the longest so that you know which one you should invest in. So let's go ahead and get started with a torture test.
To prep for our ceramic coatings, since we do have some sealant still on here from my last test, we did a good wash. We're going to do a quick polish and also a panel prep wipe so that way we have a virgin strip panel for our coatings. Just did a wash, we did a polish, we did a panel prep wipe on our test panel. This has about a 30-second flash time, so we're just gonna let that set up a sec. While that's setting up, same gray type solution. They're just a little bit heavier with this. I think the Ethos Graphene V2 just has kind of a wetter look to it. It goes a little bit further, whereas this one, obviously, you might go through a little bit more product. And just very quickly, let me show you what these look like. You can see over here we have some rainbowing, not as much though. Over here, more of a wet look, more of that rainbowing that you can very easily see. But that was the one kind of big difference that I noticed with the pro grade ceramic, was that it just didn't have as much of a wet look or feel to it. And with that product, it does flash a lot faster. When you go from kind of a rainbowing to a hazy appearance like we have here, that means it's ready to go. So in this environment, it was about 30-45 seconds, maybe a minute max. Tim did say if it starts to feel grabby, you let it sit on there for too long. And so for me, that was just a hair under a minute. And that was super easy for a pro grade ceramic. Now this has a little bit more of a flash time. You can let it sit a little bit longer. You can see even more rainbowing, but some of it looks like it's starting to evaporate. You can see your first towel gets about 50% of it. Second towel just cleans it up beautifully. Super easy. Now, as far as slickness, this one feels a little bit more smooth, more like satiny, but both designed to be super easy to install. The Ethos Graphene V2, I think, is just easier to install, but that is kind of obvious that is going to be the case. Most consumer grade coatings are going to be a lot easier. If you have a pro grade that's easier than the consumer, you're doing something wrong. We let these products cure overnight. The pro. Now, I actually hadn't planned on adding Max to this test, but after I had applied the coatings, a few of you had said, can you include Max in the test? So I figured we're gonna put it on either side of our coating so that I can see it perform side by side. Now, I would say that this is kind of a combination of our Graphene and our Pro when it comes to application. It's more of a wet appearance and more of a rainbowing appearance like our Graphene V2, but it doesn't have as long of a flash time. It's more close to what our Pro Graphene V2 is like. You can see nice rainbowing on our panel, but it's not a heavy rainbowing. It's thinner. Once you see that about a minute or two on the panel, come in and level. This is a grabbier coating at initial level. I wouldn't say thick and difficult, but you can definitely feel it has a little bit of a bite, a little bit more tension with your towel. My towels were bunching up a little bit more on me, but with that second towel, you can see we got any remaining residue, any risk with high spots, and I didn't have to level aggressively. You just have to have a more firm hand with your microfiber. So I would say out of the three, it wasn't necessarily difficult, but it was the more difficult of the three ceramics to apply. So now that we've applied these coatings to our panel, typically you want to give it 7 days for a full cure before you hit it with any sort of chemical. I'm going to go well above that and give it 4 months. I didn't intend on it, but these should be good and cured. Now I like how Brian Spittler always kind of starts off his torture test. We're going to do a wash test. We're going to wash it 12 times to mimic washing it once a month for a year.
When I do my contact wash, we're going to wash with our soap, rinse, and dry every single time, because the abrasion of your mitt and your drying towel can actually break down your ceramic coating over time. So I want to know, are we going to be able to withstand a little bit of agitation from our mitt and our drying towel? Next, we're going to try on maybe some higher alkaline cleaners like Chemex Heavy Duty Wheel Cleaner and Degreaser, maybe even their Old Glory Actifoam. This is a higher pH soap. We're also going to test out maybe a salt neutralizer. In here I have Chemex Eagle Guard. We're also going to try out some iron removers. Dark Fury. This will probably be one of the last things that I put on, because most of the time this greatly hits many of the ceramic coatings that I test. Also could try out something like Mild Deep Resolve, a tar and glue remover. We'll see how we play with our Apex Auto Wash, but those are the chemicals we're going to use. And this is the hood. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek at our hydrophobics before we do anything. I have not hit this with water for 4 months, so I'm really curious to see how our coatings look. We have Ethos Graphene V2, Ethos Pro V2.
Now, all three of these ceramics are a graphene-based ceramic. What does that mean? Graphene typically is going to give you a taller, wider, bigger water bead. I actually prefer graphene because of this very issue. A lot of your SiO2s, polysiloxanes, they might give you tighter water beads, but the tighter the water bead or the smaller the water bead, the higher the risk of water spotting issues. But when we have taller, wider beads like this, they're going to fall off more naturally on the vehicle, even without any sort of wind, which in theory is going to reduce the risk of water spotting issues. Graphene also is typically more chemically resistant. So I have high expectations that these coatings are going to be more chemically resistant.
I mean, all three of them look fantastic. So let's go ahead and do our 12 wash test. We're going to go in a time lapse for that because it's going to be super boring. But let's go ahead and get this washed.
Now, as we wash these panels, I want you to pay close attention to the water beading performance and see if there's any sort of a decrease in our tight beads, or if you start to see maybe more sheeting. Whenever a ceramic coating is starting to break down, our hydrophobics are going to shift from tight beads to more sheeting. Now, that doesn't mean a coating has failed when the hydrophobics change. It just means that the hydrophobic top layer, which normally that's what we are benefiting from the most, is starting to break down. Even though the hydrophobic top layer can break down fully, it doesn't mean a coating has failed. It just means it's weakened. It needs to be refreshed. Now for me, around the 9th wash is where I noticed that our Pro V2 on the right and our Graphene V2 on the left started to shift a little bit. We had a little bit more pooling, a little bit more quick sheet in the corners of those coatings. So this is where I would say when we're maintaining these coatings, around that 9th month, we would need to refresh.
10.
Now I know some of you are going to make the argument, I shouldn't have to top or refresh your coating for it to perform. It's kind of the chicken or the egg argument. And you can very well make that argument. That's not what I'm going for in this test. I'm wanting to show you guys durability, assess what you guys want to assess out of this test.
But I'm actually really surprised. Both of these are looking like they're taking a slight hit just from our contact wash with a pH neutral soap, which is a little alarming. Okay, I'm gonna put some soap on here and very lightly. This is what I would do maybe, you know, if we got some heavy contamination on the vehicle. I'm not scrubbing, I'm just going over the surface very lightly. Sometimes you do a light decontamination on a coated car. Still there, but not as tight as they once were. Last wash, I'm gonna do this with a little bit of a brush. We all know customers, they may be going through the automatic car wash. I wanna know, are we gonna braid off with just a soft brush? All right, so that's 12 washes, one of them being a clay towel, one of them being a soft-faced brush. And we do have a little bit of a hit with our Pro V2 and our Ethos Graphene V2. So if I were to be maintaining a ceramic coated vehicle, one product that I would use is an iron remover. And we all know that when you rub in a chemical, it's a little bit more aggressive. But this is something you would use to maintain a ceramic coated vehicle with. So not anything kind of extraordinarily aggressive. Let's give it a rinse. Right here, I'm seeing a little pulling, a little bit more of a quick sheeting, and we've lost a lot of our tight bead. We're going to use a water spot remover, and this is a strong acid from Luminous. I've actually never worked with this one. And who knows, maybe this will actually rebound our ceramics. Sometimes that happens, and it makes me wonder if some of these water spot removers have some sort of hydrophobic within them to kind of, I don't want to say trick you, but kind of refresh coatings. But we're just going to work this in as if we had some water spots on there. But clearly, our max coatings are doing better than both of these. I would say at this point, our Graphene V2 is more sheeting very quick. Our Pro V2 has more beading, but also has some sheeting characteristics going on. All right, so we're gonna hit it with Old Glory. This is a little bit of a higher pH, kind of foaming pre-soak. Gonna do some of this action. Okay. Gonna just work that in. Oh! Oh! Okay. That's kind of surprising. Our max took a hit, but nowhere near as much. These two took a really big hit. Really big hit. This is very interesting, you guys. Let's just do salt neutralizer. This is probably not even as aggressive as the last chemical we put on there. But again, I just want to kind of see chemicals that people might use on their vehicle. This is definitely one of those in the winter time. If you've got some salt on your vehicle, hit it, neutralize it. Wow. Our Max over there looks the best, but these two, we didn't even really get to Dark Fury yet. Wow. Okay, let's go for little mild deep resolve. This is a tar remover. Instead of me wasting it, because I do love this stuff, I'm just going to put it on a towel and work it in. And we are going to wash it off with some soap afterwards, because this is a solvent. I just want to kind of neutralize it. This is going to probably make our ceramic coating look better because it's going to bead. But we'll wash it off with our soap. Give me a sec. So our max coatings are actually performing the best. These two, I would say, they're close to time of death. In fact, we're going to do Koshemi acid. This is a pH of 0. You got extreme water spots. This is actually one of the strongest wheel cleaners that I have here in my shop. I mean, it's the strongest. It's 0. And I'm not kidding you guys. You know, if you ever see these torture tests that content creators do, when they're just kind of spraying a chemical and rinsing it off, we're not really getting the full picture. When we rub it in, it is abrading the surface of that coating with that chemical. But when we merely just kind of spray it on, rinse it off, yeah, a lot of coatings are going to be able to withstand that. But the fact that, I'm not going to say they're dead, there's still something there, but the hydrophobic top layer took a big hit just from, you know, daily chemicals that people might use to maintain the vehicle or treat problem issues that they might have. So I think what we're going to do, rather than me mess around with some other stuff, because I have a feeling I know what's going to happen, this is our Superior Products Dark Fury. We just hit it with Koshemi acid, which is a 0. And this is the full other side of that spectrum. This is pretty close to 14. It's like 13 something. This is not one that you want to mess around with, get on your skin. Trust me, ask me how I know. You leave this on a vehicle and it can actually stain it. It looks stained. It's so strong of a cleaner, it pulls oil out of the paint. So it kind of looks dull in the areas that hit it if you don't dilute it or pre-rinse your panel. So my intention wasn't to attack these coatings or to kill them. I wanted to know kind of where we were at spectrum wise. Clearly, both sides where we have our max, actually, I would say I'm very impressed with max. You know, in what circumstance are we using max? I think Tim actually says that's like a wheel coating. So if we're hitting a vehicle with automatic car wash soaps, if we're, you know, neglecting it, if we're torturing it, those are the coatings that you're going to want, the Ethos Max. Typically, you could see that both of these did really well up to about our 10 wash, maybe even I would say 9 washes. So to me, that's a little alarming, but that just goes to show you we didn't put any sort of toppers on there. We weren't, you know, doing what Ethos would necessarily say that you need to do to maintain their coated vehicle with, which is use a pH or ceramic friendly soap and then use a ceramic drying aid. Now, we are going to really quick, we're going to put our Ethos ceramic refresh on here. Just one spray. Work it in. Even if we were to use this as a drying aid, let's see, Can we bring back a little bit of love to our ceramic coatings? Hopefully this demonstrates for you guys what our Ethos ceramic coatings are capable of. And I think anytime I do these torture tests, I learn something. One, that sometimes when you have a ceramic coated vehicle, even though we say that they are chemically resistant, they are not chemical proof. So what do we take away from this ceramic coating torture test? Well, one, I'm a little surprised, honestly, that both our Ethos Graphene V2 and our Pro V2 didn't have as much chemical resistance as I would expect. Now, I've had no issues with these coatings when I've put them on customers' vehicles, but that's why as a detailer, I always recommend to my customers, if we can, avoid the automatic car wash with their soaps and the brushes. The agitation and the high pH soaps or even low pH soaps, they are going to affect the life of your ceramic coating. If you go through the automatic car wash as your primary way of maintaining your ceramic coating, take that durability claim that they gave you and cut it in half at minimum. You're lucky if you get 1.5 to 2 years max when you're going through the automatic car wash on a ceramic coated vehicle. So that's why we always recommend using pH friendly or ceramic infused soaps if you can. Now, yes, if you have a lot of salt and things like that, clearly you do need a ceramic coating that can withstand higher pH foaming pre-soaks, tar treatments, water spot treatments, all of those things. And I think all of these coatings were able to tolerate those things. And we were going a little bit more aggressive by actually working them into the paint. A lot of times when we're putting a water spot treatment on, yeah, we might actually have to work it into the paint, but your foaming pre-soaks, we're not necessarily being that aggressive. So take it for what it's worth that I was kind of being a little bit more aggressive. But I wouldn't say that these coatings failed. Max clearly is the winner, but what we were able to learn from this or deduce from this is that if we use products like this to dry the vehicle, you should have no issue with the ceramic top layer, which that's really what we're looking for. A ceramic coating, the benefit of it is that we are adding a little bit of a sacrificial layer on top of our clear coat. Let's say we get bird bombs, bug guts, things like that. It's going to go into our ceramic coating. They're not super thick. It's not like PPF. You can still actually do damage to a ceramic coating, so they are not impermeable. You're not going to throw gasoline on it, light it on fire, and it be fine. You're not going to go through the forest and rake it with twigs and it come away scratch proof. It is going to make maintenance easier for you if you maintain it properly. Your vehicle's not going to get as dirty as quickly because dirt doesn't stick to it as much. And when you do wash your vehicle, you shouldn't have to use as much agitation to get all the contaminants off because the coating will allow you to get it off with high pressure water. I do all these videos to educate you guys on how to get the most out of your ceramic coatings. But for those of you that are kind of wanting to know what these coatings are capable of, hopefully these tests help you guys out. This isn't a real world situation. People aren't putting these type of chemicals on a day-to-day basis on a ceramic coated vehicle. If you are, you're asking for it to fail. But if we use pH friendly soaps, drying aids to maintain our vehicle, and then common sense when it comes to tackling some of the contaminants that we have, whether film, salt, bugs, water spots, rail dust, using appropriate chemicals, not being super aggressive, I think these coatings are going to exceed what we saw today. But again, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts down below? What are your thoughts on ceramic coating torture tests? Is there any validity to them in the real world? Or is it just fun to kind of see, can I kill a coating? But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you want to try out any of these coatings for yourself, I'll put the links for them down below. Clearly, Ethos Max, Tim, you got a winner right there. Was a little grabbier, not as easy as the other two. But if you're torturing your vehicle or you're just exposing it with a really just aggressive lifestyle, Max, I think, should be able to withstand. But again, use common sense, use chemicals that the manufacturer recommends, and you shouldn't have any problem. But give us a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for your patience for me getting it out to you guys. But if you have other products or other tests that you guys would like to see, let me know in the comment section down below. But guys, spring's coming. Hang in there. We'll see you in the next detail. Have a great day. I'm super glad that I can finally get that hood out of my garage. See you guys in the next test.